Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable it feels when you don't have anything impressive to say? Like when somebody asks, "Hey, what's up? How are you? What's new?" And your mind just starts scrambling because nothing new has really happened. Nothing dramatic has happened. No big win, no big moves, no breakthrough, just life. And somehow that makes you feel small. I've been feeling and thinking about how much pressure there is to be interesting, to always have momentum, to always be evolving, to always be doing something that sounds good when you say it out loud. And if you're not, it feels like you're falling behind. And social media has been no help at all. Everybody looks like they're becoming something, building something, traveling somewhere, reinventing themselves every few months. And so sometimes I catch myself thinking, if I'm not building something, launching something, starting something new, growing, achieving, then who am I? If this podcast didn't exist, if my business started to slow down, if there was no more applause, no more updates, no highlight reels, would I still feel secure in myself? Or have I slowly tied my identity to being impressive? Because that's a scary place to live, where your worth rises and falls with how interesting your life looks. I don't want to constantly be performing to feel valuable, and I don't want to build an identity that disappears when things just get quiet, because they always do. I want to know who I am on a random Wednesday night like tonight, when there's nothing new happening, there's nothing special happening, when nobody's really watching, when it's just me. And maybe, like I've been saying in all the previous episodes, that's the real work. Not finding ways to be more interesting, but just becoming more honest, finding ways to be more honest. So, this is episode 6, unfolding my journey on the pressure to be interesting. Before I get started with the episode, I just wanted to shout everyone out for supporting the last episode with my sister. We had a lot of fun filming that. A lot of editing, a lot of time editing, cutting a lot of stuff out, but we still try to keep in as much as I could, and a lot of laughter. And I really hope you guys enjoyed that. And thank you everyone for the support you guys have shown. Please, if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment. If you're listening on Spotify, I would appreciate if you could rate it 5 stars, follow me, and just keep listening. Again, I appreciate everyone's support. And this episode is brought to you guys by LaCroix. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just drinking LaCroix because I love LaCroix. You can also follow me on social media at Paths Podcast, or my Instagram is John Cam. So it's JAAAAHNCAM, as in Mary. I am a little bit under the weather this week. I was really sick for like 2-3 days, couch rotting and dying. I stayed with my parents. Thankfully, my mom is awesome and she took care of me, and I'm alive now, fortunately. No, I'm just kidding. Fortunately, I'm alive and feeling better now. So this might be a quick episode, but I did just want to keep with the momentum, I guess, that I have with these episodes. It is episode 6. We're nearing the last one, so if you guys haven't heard or seen anything, please go ahead and check out all the episodes. And I'm excited for the future plans with the podcast and season 2, which is already in production, I guess. And so, yeah, let's get started with this episode. Enough of my yapping and marketing stuff. So we just talked about the pressure to be interesting. And I think this is something most of us feel, but we don't really admit. We don't say, yeah, I feel insecure when I don't have something impressive going on. Like, I haven't really heard anyone saying that, or I haven't even heard myself say that. It's just a thought that I've been having, because every time I run into someone, we're like, hey, what's up? What's new? And I'm like, oh, I don't have anything new going on. Is that normal? Is that okay? Why do I feel ashamed and embarrassed by me saying that I don't have anything new going on? And it's funny because nobody really says it out loud. We just try to quietly fix it. We'll try and do something exciting, so the next time we see that person, we're like, oh, I have something new that I did. Or like we'll post more online, we plan something new, we start something, we reinvent, and we find things that we can share as something new in our life. But I've been asking myself lately, why do I feel uncomfortable when life is just normal? Why does nothing new feel like failure to me? And I don't know if it's the same for a lot of people, or maybe just a few of you guys. But that's when I realized this isn't about productivity. It's not about me feeling like a failure because I'm not doing enough. It's actually about identity. It's about my self-respect and my lack of identity. 99% of the population and people, we all live very routinary lives. So things are going to be normal. Things aren't going to change. There's not going to be a lot of new in our life sometimes. And that should be okay if we're happy with who we are as people. And if we're not, then why does it kind of become like a survival instinct of, oh no, I'm not doing anything new, but let me try and think, let me try and plan, let me try and do something really quick. Why? If I'm happy with who I am, what I'm doing, if my life is normal and steady, that should actually make me even more happier. That I have an identity, that I have a routine, that I have something I'm proud of to call my life. Not having to be like, wait, I need to find something new to do. It's funny because this morning, my mom, I mean, you guys can probably hear in my voice that I'm still recovering from being sick. I think I had the flu. I don't know what I had. It knocked me out for a few days, but I was saying with my mom, and I told her, hey, I think I'm going to start like online college. And she was like, John, why? Like, okay. She was like, okay, tell me more about that. Like, why do you want to do that? And I said, I don't know. I'm just bored. I need something to do. And she looked at me. She's like, you don't think you're doing enough already? I'm doing a lot, and business wise. So she's like, will you have time to start this whole new thing? 'Cause school. And I was like, yeah, but I'm just bored. Like, I need something new. And she went the Hispanic mom route of like, lecture and everything, but it was very insightful. It wasn't a lecture. It was more of a conversation about why it's so important for me to let things go from the past and start respecting myself and forming an identity for myself so that I feel okay with my life, that I don't feel like I need things and activities and people and something new to make my life interesting, because my life in itself should already be interesting if I'm content with my identity. Whoa. And something she said was, and you need to fix it now because it's going to not only affect you and your life, but the people around you. If you start a family one day, if you have friends, your self-identity and self-respect will influence how they are around you, how they treat you, but also if they're really close to you, how you might hurt them, how you might create traumas for people. And I was like, wait, what? What are you telling me? Right? She was like, yeah, so I was reading this research and she's telling me like all this stuff. And it's just, number one, it always blows my mind when my mom is the one lecturing me on like mental health stuff and like self-improvement, because it used to be the other way around for so many years. So I'm just like, wait, what is going on right now? But I enjoy those conversations, so I was just like, yeah, cool. And I mean, I took a lot of good points from what she said, and that's why I started thinking even more. Like, it kind of added to what I was already thinking for this week's episode. And I asked myself, well, without everything, like without my accomplishments and everything I strive to do new, and who am I? Like, down to the core, who am I as a person? And I think I have a pretty solid foundation of who I am, and I'm starting to respect myself more and have more discipline, self-respect, self-love. I think prime example is me going to the gym and actually having a healthy eating routine. And I kind of saw a post today, and I said, wait, I never gave myself that credit for that. And anyway, that was a sidetrack, but I was like, why do I feel like I need to now? Is because I have self-respect. I'm starting to form an identity of, that's not me. Like, my traumas aren't me. And I think for so long I tied it with my identity. That's why somewhere along the way, being interesting just stopped being fun and started being more of a necessity. I mean, think about it. When you meet somebody new, what do you talk about? Your job, your goals, your travels, your projects. You don't say, yeah, I've been emotionally stable lately. Nobody leads with that. And social media just makes it worse. Now we don't just live life, we have to kind of curate it. And we don't just grow, we announce it. And I know how hypocritical that sounds of me to be sitting here in this podcast doing just that. It's just, we don't just experience things, we document them. And slowly our identity starts shifting from who am I to how does my life look? And that shift it's subtle, but it's dangerous because it's your identity. If your identity is built on just momentum, what happens when things slow down? If it's built on attention, what happens when things get quiet? If it's built on achievements, what happens when you fail? You feel like you disappear. I don't know. I think that's why it's so important to have a self-identity, because it can lead to other things like anxiety and like depression and other forms of emotional instability. All stems from your self-identity, your self-respect, your self-love. So I guess that's the foundation we kind of have to take care of, is our identity, so that everything else can feel normal, can feel better, can feel okay, have more stability. And what a lot of us have created in this society is image versus our identity. And I've been thinking about this difference. Image is external. Identity is internal. Image is what people see on the outside, what sounds impressive, what gets people's attention. But identity is more of what you believe about yourself when nobody claps, when nobody's around, when nobody cares. I'll give an example about myself. My image says I own a business, I have a podcast, I'm building something. My identity says, or I hope it says, what I'm working on it to say is, I'm disciplined, I'm curious enough to take leaps, I'm growing, I'm grounded. And the scary part, here's the scary part, image can grow faster than your identity. Because you can look like you're becoming someone before you actually feel secure as that person you're becoming. And that creates the anxiety. Because now you have something to maintain. Now you have something to protect. Now you're not just living, you're performing. And performance is exhausting. But there's a serious fear of being ordinary. Let's be honest, a lot of this comes from fear. Anxiety actually comes from fear. And in this case, I guess it would be the fear of being ordinary. Because in our generation, ordinary feels like invisible. If you're not exceptional, are you even seen? If you're not evolving publicly, are you even growing? But what if we've misunderstood what ordinary actually is, or what it should be? Or better yet, what it can be? Because ordinary can be consistency, it can be integrity, it can be peace, showing up every day. That's not boring, that's rare actually. The problem is peace doesn't trend, stability doesn't really go viral, and quiet growth doesn't get reposted. Everything is about numbers and image nowadays, and everything has to be loud and extravagant and huge. But in the quietness, that's where real identity grows. That's where real identity is built. All right. So, what do we do about this? Because it's easy to talk about. It's harder to live differently. So here are a few things that I've been trying. The first thing is building private wins. Not everything needs an audience. Do things that no one knows about. Work out and don't post it. Read and don't tweet about it. Help someone and don't mention it. Build a life that feels solid even if nobody sees it. That strengthens identity, because now our growth isn't dependent on validation. Our identity does not become dependent on validation. Number 2, ask better questions. Instead of asking, what do people think of me? Something I've been asking myself is, do I respect myself? That shift changes everything, because identity grows through integrity. So, are you keeping promises to yourself? Are you being honest with others and yourself? Are you aligned with your values? That's deeper, way deeper than being impressive. The third thing I really want to say is get comfortable with quiet seasons. Not every season in life is a highlight. Some seasons are like maintenance seasons. Some seasons are reflection periods. Some seasons are just going to be boring. And that doesn't mean you're regressing. It actually just means you're human. If your identity collapses in the quiet seasons, it means that it was actually built on noise. So learning to sit in stillness without panicking is crucial. It's important. And I know I've touched a little bit on that one, I think, in my previous episode, so I'm not going to sit here and repeat everything, but I've been trying to really sit comfortably in my quiet season that I'm currently living in right now. And it kind of feels like, because the winter is starting to be over, my life is starting to get a little bit more loud, but I don't want to lose myself in the noise. I want to continue sitting comfortably either periods of life and periods of the year, because it's really annual. It's like an annual cycle. So there's quiet periods, there's loud periods, there's busy periods. So learning to sit comfortably when you arrive where you arrive. And the last thing that I'll share with you guys, point number 4, is separate what you do from who you are. This one is big. You are not your job. You are not your content. You are not your successes, and you are not your failures. Those are just roles. And roles change. Identity should be something stable. If everything external was stripped away, what qualities would remain? That's who you are. That is who you are. Build from there. Start looking into that and start picking things you need to work on. Start building things you need to work on from there. From when everything external is taken away. Not literally, you don't literally have to take it away, but think about it. Sit in the quietness, sit in the stillness, and think about it and build from there. And I guess now it's time for just an honest reflection, because I don't want to say that I've mastered any of this. There are still moments where I feel very much behind, and where I scroll and think I should be doing way more than I am, and where I wonder if I'm interesting enough. But I'm learning something important. The goal isn't to become more interesting, it's just to become more secure. Because when you're secure, you don't need constant proof. You don't need constant reaffirmations from life or from people. You can walk into a room without having to worry how you're going to impress. You can have a normal week without having to question your worth. You can grow quietly, and that is powerful. Guys, that is where the power of your life lies, in your identity. So I think the real question isn't, how do I become someone people admire? The real question maybe is, who am I becoming when nobody is watching? Because if your identity is strong enough in private, you don't have to perform in public. And that's freedom. That is freedom. Well, guys, that's been my thoughts for today. Thank you for staying tuned and always watching. And I'm going to go to sleep now because I'm tired and I feel a little bit weak still. I'm going to take some Tylenol, and hopefully tomorrow I feel way better and get to go to work again. Hopefully I recover some of my voice. I don't know why I always end up losing my voice. I've already gained it back pretty much. It's just, I don't know, different octave, and with the stuffy nose it sounds a little bit different, but hey, I'm just happy to be alive. Wow, that's weird to say. Anyway, if you haven't yet, just a reminder, please, if you're watching on YouTube, if you could subscribe, give me a thumbs up, maybe put a comment down below on what you thought about the episode. Yeah, just stay tuned for next week's episode. It's going to be the finale for season 1. I'm excited for it. If you're listening on Spotify, please follow, please give me a 5 stars, and stay tuned for, listen to the other episodes if you haven't. That'd be a great way to support. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's Paths Podcast, or my personal Instagram is John with 3 A's. So it's JAAAHNCAM. Location, we're back in my apartment, just sitting on the floor chilling. I was watching TV prior to this, and I went to Target prior to this, where I ran into my sisters and their friends, which was weird because I have their location, but I don't look at it. So I hope they didn't think I was following them or checking up on them. I genuinely was just in Target, just buying some groceries that I needed to buy. This week's song of the week is, drumroll please, guys. I've been obsessed with Somber lately. I've been genuinely. Ew, the brain rot. Ew, I cringe saying that. But I've been listening to him nonstop for the last few weeks. So I know last week's song was a somber song. This week is also going to be somber, double somber this season, because he's amazing. I love his new album. I love his music. This week's song of the week is Undressed by Somber. So if you haven't heard it, just go listen to it. I think it's a really cool song. I love the distortion in his voice. I know a lot of people complain about that, but I love it. I love his music. I love the rhythm and the beat, and just the lyrics are there. So I'm just like, all around 10 out of 10 artist for me. Definitely recommend Somber if you haven't checked him out. Anyways, guys, that concludes this week's episode. This has been episode 6, unfolding my journey on the pressure to be interesting. Take care. I will see you next Thursday. Bye-bye.